Oh, here I am. Hi. Welcome to Yamaha Tech Talk Live. This is Blake from the upper left corner of the United States here live. And today we're going to be talking about the AWM2 engine in Montage M. Before I talk about that, I'd like to introduce my colleagues from Europe. First off, Hans-Peter Hinkel-Happe. How are you doing?
Hello. I'm fine. How are you?
I am great. I'm wonderful.
Great to
It's
hear.
a nice day here.
Oh,
It's a nice
beautiful.
evening, hopefully, where you're at.
Well, it's pretty dark
Yeah, it's pretty dark.
already.
It's about 1 in the afternoon here. So
Okay,
1300
yeah.
hours and spring
Sounds
and
good.
yeah. And from Marseille, France, Joel Borg. Hello, sir.
Hello, guys. Nice to see you.
Hello.
Good to see you. I see you've been busy putting up lots of mouchures.
Yes.
Can never pronounce it correct. Mouchures of
Yes.
videos. Yeah, very cool.
Thank you.
Well, yes, that's what we're going to talk about today is the AWM2 engine here in Montage M. We'll cover some of the big things like, enhancements, things that are new to the product. I'm going to talk about that. Joel will show you some things about the user waveform that's been added, and Happe is going to show you some cool things that you can do with just elements. It's a very cool, powerful, and efficient system, I must say. So, hey, let's start with me. I'll talk about some of the stuff that's new. Let me switch my my overhead so you can see. Oh, look, here's my system here live. What is new in this instrument? Well, the first thing is with Montage M, our engineers effectively, I guess doubled almost the waveform size from the original Montage. Original Montage had 5.67 gigabytes of preset wave memory and 1.75 gigabytes of user flash memory. Well, with Montage M, you get 9.97 gigabytes of new waveform and 3.8 gigabytes of user waveform. So basically, a little more, not quite double, but pretty close. The other big news with this instrument is the number of elements per part. And I'll show you some of this real quick here. But with the Montage, you had 8 elements. An element being an oscillator. You could look at it like a sampled bass oscillator. So an element, it has its own things like pitch, e.g., amplitude, e.g., LFO, that kind of routing inside the system. Well, when you take those an element, which is a pretty powerful thing on its own, because elements can contain multiple key banks, so they're cool. But boy, when you have up to 128 elements like you have in Montage M, that's a whole other level. Totally, really has some great things about having that amount of elements. For one thing that I always point out is something as simple as something like the CFX piano in here. This piano that I have here, you'll notice that it says 18 elements. That's one of the cool things about this instrument. That particular piano was 4 parts in the 8-element system, 8-element per part system that Montage had. So being able to have a single part that has all of those elements in it is very cool. And it has yet to be fully realized. That's one of the great things about this instrument as well, is that I don't think there is a performance in here that has 128, because the programmers found that having 56 elements was enough, or 61 elements, or whatever. So I think there's some really cool things that are going to happen as we move forward with this product, with that huge element count in the instrument. So some of the new features, obviously, in fact, I'll show you this very quickly. One thing I like to do is I like to just show this basic initialize AWM2, which gives me a single element. So how do we get to those new elements? Well, I'm going to drop into edit here and show you where this exists in here. Inside the actual, we'll go to the common level here. So we're at part 1, common level. I'm going to go to element settings, and that's where you find the element switch. I had someone, I think, contact me via email. How do I turn on these extra elements? I have no idea where that's at. Well, it's right here, element settings. You turn on the extra element switch, and then you can set it to, if I needed 17 elements or up to 120 elements, it's right there. That's where that new switch is to engage this new platform. with all the extra elements. That's where that exists. Another cool thing, in fact, I want to show you this. Just the amount of new waveforms in the instrument is pretty spectacular. There's a lot of really new, wonderful things in the instrument. And to find those, I like to go to the attribute, and I'll turn on AWM2. So I'm in, once again, category search. I touch on, you have category here. Attribute is right next door. AWM2, and then I'm going to hit Montage M and go back to my main category page. And then if I look at pianos, now all that I'm looking at is just the new content that was added to increase that waveform count up to, 9.97 gigabytes. So lots of new pianos in the instrument right here. Lots of new electric pianos. There's some great new strings inside Montage M. And I'll just go to my live set here and just show some of these new things in here. One of them is just the Imperial de Bösendorfer piano. Grab my pedal. It's one moment, please. There it is. So this used to be the Bösendorfer library that you would install as a library. Well, it's built in now. So a new Bösendorfer piano, the new Hamburg Grand in here. This beautiful 9-foot concert grand. Just lots of new pianos in the instrument. There's a whole lot of new electric pianos as well. This new 78 RD. This musky one that has a lot of the cool idiosyncrasies of the Tyne electric piano. Key offs and things like that. A little bit more of a vintage style. This one's definitely vintage. The RD67. Lots of new strings in the instrument as well. This one has some really interesting arpeggios and stuff like that inside here. This is this ostinato staccato sound. This Gothic choir that's in here. So lots of new orchestral, lots of new percussions in this. In fact, I didn't even grab any of the percussion ones in here. Tam-tams. Tons of new tam-tams, casas, so big bass drums, timpanis, rototoms, all sorts of new orchestral percussions in Montage M as well. Lastly, let me get to my page here that has it. There's just some new, very interesting synth sounds, like this one here. This one's just called Evolution. It's a 2-part performance, but and it uses analog waveforms, so it's AWM, but this particular it's just a great sounding analog style. Even though we have the ANX engine, they've added some new waveforms that this sound definitely is showing off here. Another one is this one that's called Complexitro. This is actually a sound by one of our sound designers named Dave Polich. So I did a podcast with him. All AWM and just a very cool arpeggio kind of thing. This one that's called Aleatoric Awakenings. This is the last one I'll show here. Again, all AWM. This is all that new content that we, added to Montage M. This one blows my mind, and Hoppe is going to show you a little bit more about this later on how something like this can exist. It's 9 elements and it's one sound, but there's all these different instruments in here that are layered. But like cool string. It's definitely kind of out of tune. That's what aleatoric is, chance music. So it's Definitely not special effecty kind of stuff. So you hear the kind of weird out of tune piano, but you also hear the strings in there and the choir sounds in there. Very cool for film scoring kind of things. That's one thing I love about the instrument. They've added a lot of cinematic things that really make it very useful for composing different types of music, especially music for film, I think. This is a really cool product for that. Anyway, that is some of the stuff that are in this new AWM engine that has been added to Montage M. You know, so you have lots of new waveform content, larger flash memory, and you know, and double the amount of basically double the amount of waveform memory, and then the 128 element possibility. Lots of very cool things in Montage M that have been added. And that's essentially all I wanted to talk about here, is just sort of an introduction to the new features that are in Montage M. By the way, I did mention the sound designers. I want to mention this one more time. If you go to YamahaSynth.com, you'll find the sound designer series. I did, actually, myself and my colleague Nate did interviews with Dave Polich, Ben Jordan, one of our sound designers, who's a great YouTube channel as well. Peter Schwartz, another great sound designer. Dan Rouse, who's an artist and a sound designer for us. They're really interesting conversations that we had with these sound designers that had the prototypes and about what they did, how they created sounds. Check them out. It's at YamahaSynth.com. So that's all that I have for my piece today. And now I will turn it over to Joel, and he's going to talk about loading in user sounds, user waves. Take it away, Joel.
Thank you, Blake. Thank you. Yes, we can do a lot of things with the AWM2 presets, but you can make your own if you want. That I'm going to show you. But the first thing I want to remember to you, if you go to utility and if you go on that screen, on the content data utility, you have this folder waveform, and on that folder, you can see only the user's waveform that are loaded on your Montage M. And on the top, you see the size that you have inside your Montage M, the user's waveform we have here, and all that is in library, but you cannot see what is in library here, and the maximum size that we have here. Perhaps you think, I want to load some waveform, I want to prepare my thing, so I go to Contents Load, I choose here on the type, the WAV file, and I can load directly. No, you cannot do that. If you press here, you go directly to the pre-rec audio file. So how can we make some great things and load samples? So Blake show you a little bit. If you go on category search and you go to init, and you can select the init normal AWM2, but to win some time for this episode, because we do not have too much time, I have prepared a performance. I have here 8 elements from my super PWM stabs. I have split all the 8 elements from the C3 up to the G8, and I want to add some samples here. So what kind of sample? The waves, 16 bits, 44.1 kilohertz, and the best way is to have the metadata inside. It means the start, the loop point, and the ending point already work on the computer, and the Montage M read them. Of course, but you need to prepare them on your computer before. Okay, so I want to add some things on that performance that I prepare, or I can do that. I press on Edit. I am on the Edit element 1. I can go up to the 8, and if I go here to the command, Blake show you, not on the command, shows me, so for the part command, Blake show you the element setting. He changed the top icon when you press on it, and I want to add a 9th element here. And now I can go to the elements. Here, I can go to the element 9. And the first thing you need to do is to set the element on, because here it's off. No, it's on. I can play on it, and by default you have this preset waveform, the CFX here. And here I have my stab. But I have my stab with the piano. So to prepare my things, I need to split what I'm going to play. So now I have here the preset, and here I have the other preset with my stab. So now I want to add my samples. Oh, I can do that. You have this icon, new waveform. And here, if you see, no, it's audio file. It's go directly on the content load, but on the top it's not wave file, it's audio file. And I have some samples from Easy Sounds. And I want to load, the first one is a square D tune, is the D#1. I press on it, it's loaded directly. And now I need to work a little bit on it, of course. I need to change the note limit here to be sure, one at a time. And I go on edit waveform. And now you have this screen, and the first thing you really need to do is to work on the center note. Because here, what is it? Because the center note is C3, but we have loaded a D#1. So I will say D#1. And now, you see, this is not the same. No, I have the good note for that. You can manage the note limit, but I will show you a little bit after. The second thing you can do, because we are going to build a little waveform, I say just a few little, to name it. This is for the waveform, not for the key bank that I have loaded. And you can do a category like that, synth comp, and I will go for the sub to say a stab. Okay. And you can manage the volume, you can manage the pan, you can manage the tune by semitones, you can do a fine tune if you want here. You can manage also samples with velocity. You can make some layers of velocity for each sample. So here I have one. Not so bad for it, but I want to add a second to have something more great. I would say the advice is to have at minimum 3 per octave. But here, to go quickly, I will add only a second one. So how to do that? Add key bank here. I come back to the second, and I will load my A1. I am on the key bank too, here. So I go on the center note, I do the E1 like that. But no, I have the 2 on layer, so I can manage all the things I show to you, and I need to manage them to do not have them on layer. So I will do here on the note limit. So for this one, which is here, the A1, I will say we'll start from it. And I come back to my key bank 1, just here. And now I come back to the key bank 1, and for the top note, I will go to the F here. And now I have the first sample I have loaded playing on this note, and the other here. And it's worked perfectly. When you have done that, you just need to press store, of course, to store your performance and keep all the things. And here I've made only 2 samples, but if you made more, and it's a huge work to do that, perhaps, you say, I want to reuse this waveform on one of the performances as an example. Or I can do that. So I come back here another time, and if I go to category search, and if I select on here the user, you can refine another time this one square det. That's why it's important to name it, also to retrieve in the quick way. So that's for making sounds, I can say like that. But if you have long samples that you want to play, 13 seconds more, 1 minute, why not? Or loops, drum loops. Does we go in the same way? No, we do not go in the same way. For that, it's better to use the drum kit. So if you want to start from scratch, you go to the init and you select the init drum here. But to win sometimes, I remind to you, I have prepared some things because I have set the tempo for that performance to 130. And we are going to do near the same things. I press edit, but here the drum kit are not working in the same way, I would say, but the normal voices. You have 73 elements, and each note is a waveform. I have a waveform, but you can have several key banks inside. And to manage that, I go for the first time on a C0, which is the first, but here I have the C3, C2, I want to work on the C1. The best way is to select the keyboard select here, and here I am on the top on the C1. And now on the C1, I want to load a loop. So we say new waveform as in the same way, and I have my drum loop here. So I press on my drum loop, and I am on the C1, I have the drum loop. And you see it's fade, and I need to keep my finger on it to have all the things, but it fade. So why? Because on the level pan here, you have the attack, you have the decay 1 and the 2. If you want to hear all the loop, you need to set the decay 2 to the maximum value, and the maximum, after the maximum, you have the hold. And when you have the hold, it plays all along. So here it's for just a loop, but if you have a more long things that you have, it plays all along the time that you have on it. And that's great to have that, but perhaps you can say, yes, it's great, but we have one bar. I will not show you all the things because I do not have time, but I have prepared on that performance, I have recorded on the pattern mode a 1 bar arpeggio, 1 bar recording. By pressing that note, I have made a user arpeggio in the edit job. I have assigned that user arpeggio that I create here on that performance. And now if I set arp drum on, and it's continue all along the time. So that's great. That's the way you need to work if you have some drum loops and you want to play them all along. And that's all for me. I think we are going to retry my friend AP, and he's going to talk about some fun things about elements.
Thanks, Stuart. Great demonstration. So, a lot of the things that I'd like to show are already shown, so it makes my life a little bit easier. I want to give you an example how you can use this new ability to have up to 128 elements in a really practical way. For example, if you like to kind of combine 2 parts into one. I prepared this multi-part performance like this. It already has 8 parts, as you can see, and the structure of this performance is like this. So scene number 1 features the acoustic piano like this. Scene number 2 features an electric piano. And scene number 3 features again the acoustic piano layered with the string section. And I can control the volume of the strings using my super knob or the foot controller FC7 that is connected to my instrument, so it can go like this, right? This is scene number 3. Then we have scene number 4. In scene number 4 I have split the keyboard, and on the left hand side I have a pad combination that I also can fade in using the foot controller with a super knob, and it sounds like this. So, and on the right hand side I have some synth bells, right? Okay, that's my performance. Now let's say you can see that I already are using 8 parts, so there's no part under keyboard control that I can use in addition. But since we have the new ability to assign more than 8 elements into a single part, I can add, of course, an element to one of my parts. And that's what I want to show you. Let's say I want to add a pad sound to the piano. The E-piano is part number 2 here, and as you can see in the upper area of the screen, it already has 12 elements. It's one of the new E-pianos that I created for the presets. And now I want to add another element to it, and Blake and already showed you where this is located. I go into navigation, I go to the part settings, and then I go to the element settings. There's the element switch, the extended element switch, and here I can say, okay, I want to use another element number 13. Of course, you can add a lot of elements up to 128 if you like to go crazy. For this example, I want to keep it quick and easy, so I'm just working with this one element in addition. Now, since I have a pad in this performance on part number 4, of course I could also use this pad and layer it to the E-piano, but since this pad is split, so it just is up to B2, it's not usable to play over the entire keyboard as a layer for the E-piano. So in order to have a pad for the entire E-piano, I now kind of borrow an element from this particular pad part. And the part is already selected. And now I'm going to, again, to navigation. I select the oscillator area here. And here you can see I'm now on the element level. And on the element level, I'm able to copy an element from one part to another. There's a cool shortcut for that, which is Shift and Edit. So first Shift, then Edit in addition. And here we have the copy and exchange dialog. On the left-hand side, you can see the part and the element. These are fixed values because the system takes the currently selected things, like the currently selected part and the currently selected element. And on the right-hand side, I have the destinations. And here I set the part number 2, which is my E-piano part. And of course, I want to use the element number 13. Then I press copy. And now it copied this element into part number 2. I can check that. So I go back to Performance Home. I select part number 2 and I press a note. And you hear it's really loud, the pad. And so I need to reduce the volume for this pad element. But not only that, I also want to control the element's volume with the super knob so that I can do the same like I can do it with the string section that is layered to the E-piano. In order to do that, I go again to navigation. I go to oscillator again. Now I go to amplitude. And here, first of all, this is element number 1. Of course, I want to work with element number 13. So I scroll down, press enter. And here you can see this is the level of this element. So this is the first thing is that I want to bring this all the way down to 0. So now I just have the E-piano again. That's the pad. And whenever a parameter is selectable as a destination in the motion control synthesis engine, in the control assignment, this control assignment button lights up. So, for example, if I have a parameter that is not available as a destination, you can see the control assign is off. But back to level, it's on again. So, and now all I have to do is to press this button, control assign, and then again this dialog comes up and says destination parameter is part 2 element level, and then it says activate the source controller to assign. It could be a physical controller like the super knob, like a common assignable knob, like modulation wheel, whatever you like to assign, or the ribbon controller. I want to use the super knob, so I just turn it a little bit and there we go. The assignment is done. As you can see in the middle of the screen, we have this element switch, and the element switch decides which element I want to control. Of course, I just want to control the element number 13, so I need to switch off all the other elements except element 13. So 9 to 16, there we go. And now the assignment it targets just element 13, so I can check this right now. Right, it works. It's still a little bit of little bit loud, and I can just bring down the ratio, and then I can go back to Performance Home, select Common. Everything's fine so far, and now I can use just you can see the keyboard control is just active for part number 2, which is now my E-piano and pad combination, and I can play it like this. And can control the volume with my foot controller with the super knob, which controls the super knob. Yeah, that's it from my side, and you can imagine that with up to 128 elements, and Blake already mentioned it, there's a huge parameter set per element which is available for each individual element. So for example, I can even use a keyboard range just for an element. I can use note shift, I can use different chord settings, so tuning settings, chords and fine tuning. I have a filter, I have amplitudes and envelopes and stuff like that per element. So imagine you basically, for example, you can almost create a performance structure like this within a single element, almost, I would say. Yeah, that was it from my side, and now back to Blake. He likes to answer some Tech Talk Live questions right now. Yeah, Blake, please.
Hello. I am back. Yes. So, yeah, there's some, let's see where it happened there. Okay, there we go. Yeah, we have a link where you can ask questions. It's in the description for this live stream on where to ask questions. And I had a few of them that I'd like to answer. These are real fast ones, but just want to show you that we do actually look at those questions, and when we have an answer that we can provide, we will provide them. So I had a few right here. One of them is from someone named Tim from the UK. Is it possible with the Modi X Plus to play streaming music through the keyboard either via Bluetooth or USB? Well, yes, via USB it definitely is. There is no Bluetooth on Modi X Plus, but the USB audio and MIDI interface that's built in to Modi X Plus can work both with a computer. It can also work with an iOS device. In fact, a lot of our stuff does. When I'm on a gig, I sometimes will take a YC88, for example, and during the break, I use the Apple Lightning to USB connector. Actually, and now that I have the USB-C, it's the USB-C one on an iPhone 15. I take that out, plug it into the USB to host port on the YC, which is also on the Modi X Plus, and I'll plug it in there, and I can stream music from my phone as break music. So you can do the same exact thing with the Modi X Plus via USB. So that is how you would do that. Got a guy here, Steve from New Jersey in the U.S. When recording is started, the measures I just played are heard again 15 seconds later. I don't want looping or auto playback. I only want to record what I am playing. So what this is probably is you're going to, in fact, I can show this, and I can go back 1 second here, just because it is basically the same on a Modi X Plus. On the play record area, you're probably in the pattern mode, which is where it is here. Patterns have sections that repeat anywhere from 1 measure to 4 measures. I think the default is 4, all the way up to 100 or 256 measures, I think, per section. You want to go to the song area. Song is you just record, and it'll just record until you tell it to stop. So you can continuously record in the song area and never have to worry about it stopping. Or if you plug in a USB flash drive and you wanted to record audio, you can just connect a USB flash drive and record 2-channel stereo audio directly as well to your flash drive, and then it'll be a wave file that you can bring into a DAW on your computer or somewhere else. So that is how you would record in a linear way as opposed to a pattern looping based way. Either the song record or the audio record are the 2 ways to do that. Let's see. The other one, let's see. I just want to make sure. Are there any plans on adding a pan effect to the YC? It would be cool to have my keys. This is I understand this. The idea of being able to pan on, we added that to the CP series where you can pan the left channel or a part that you have selected to the left channel, like a bass maybe, and then you can pan hard to the right channel, maybe a keyboard if you want to route it like that. I understand people like to set up that way. Currently on the YC, there isn't a way to do that, but we have definitely heard people say that. I would encourage people, which I'll talk about in the resources, to request feature updates using our idea scale area, which is a nice segue into the resources that I would like to talk about that are in the description for this video. So we have resources for these type of things. One of them is obviously Yamaha Synth. Yamaha Synth is all things Yamaha Synth. When we're done with this Tech Talk, I will put this video up there so you can watch it. It's no longer a live stream at that point. It'll be up there, for you to watch again when I update it on YamahaSynth.com. There's lots of articles up there as well. I told you about the Sound Designer series, the podcast that we up there. I have links to the SoundCloud where those exist on YamahaSynth.com. All things Yamaha Synth at YamahaSynth.com. Idea Scale. Idea Scale is a place where you can ask for features or new products, different ideas that you can post in a community up there. We absolutely once a week go through all of the Idea Scale posts and send the ones that seem cool. We want our developers in Japan to know. We send those on, so we definitely look at them. And a lot of Idea Scale things have already been implemented in products. In fact, that panning question that was asked about the YC, it was asked about the CP series. It was on Idea Scale where that came from. Our developer saw that, and we added that to, I believe, CPOS version 1.5. But it absolutely is in there because of Idea Scale. Soundmondo is our free social sound sharing site. You need Google Chrome to access it on a desktop because of its special ability to use this thing called Web MIDI that allows you to connect to the browser, and it supports all of our products: Montage M, MODX Plus, CK, YC, CP. You can upload and download free sounds on the Soundmondo. There's also a iOS app for Soundmondo as well. It's a free service, thousands of sounds for free. That's Soundmondo. And then finally, the Music Production Guide. This is that wonderful guide that Hape puts together every few months, I think, is how it is, pretty much like that. Great tutorials, articles. There's been some interviews in there. It goes back for 11 or 12 years. Definitely check out the Music Production Guide. Very cool, nice-looking online guide for Yamaha synthesizers, and I also believe DTX. You do stuff in there as well for DTX. Is that correct? That's right, right? I think Hape?
Yep.
Yep. That's
correct.
what I thought. So there you have it. Those are the resources that we have for you at Yamaha Synthesizers. That is it for today. I really appreciate everyone watching today, and we will be back not next month, but the month after that, we will have another Tech Talk Live. Next month, my colleagues here, I think, who's going to, I know Hape will be at Super Booth. Will you be at Super Booth, Joel? Yes, no?
No.
Nope, I won't either. I wish I was. But Super Booth in Berlin is happening in May. Hape will be there. We will have definitely some information about that. All the cool things that are happening during Super Booth. Wish I was going to be there. It's such a cool show, but oh well. Not this year. Anyway, but that's what's going to happen next month is Super Booth. So to give Hape some breathing room to do it, we're going to skip next month, but the month after we have an exciting Tech Talk coming then because we will have some cool updates coming about maybe Montage M. So come back in June for Tech Talk then. Thank you so much for watching this time. Once again, for Hape and Joel, I'm Blake from the U.S. Thank you so much for watching this edition of Tech Talk Live from Yamaha Synthesizers. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.